Well, I don't know how many of you read what I write or know who I am. Every day I have to remind myself of who I am, too. You know, it gets harder and harder. I find at 75, I'm going, what was today? What do I do? I am a farm girl. I'm just a farm girl. And I couldn't be prouder of anything else. It's me. Anybody who's raised in the country knows what it is to belong to the soil. And that's exactly what all of you are, but you don't really realize that you belong to the soil. We all started with somebody scratching in the dirt. I'm pleased to be here today. I'm pleased to write for the paper. It's a strange thing for me because I find that when I was born, I was packed with words. I don't know who prepackaged me before I came into this life, but somebody just stuffed me full of words. And so somewhere along the way, I decided that I could be a writer. I had nobody tell me I could be a writer, but in my head, I thought I have to get rid of these words. Darn, they're clogging me up here. And so I started writing plays, and I wrote social dramas for high school kids and middle schools. And I directed and produced them, and we did them for PGE and other places too. I found that there was a need for my words. I don't know why, but it's a trust, and you know what I'm talking about, Ted. There's something that we're born with, a voice that we're born with that says, I need to do this. It keeps echoing in my life. Why don't I pursue it? Why don't I listen to it? And I did. I listened to my voice and I said, okay, you know, the powers pack me with this, we're going to do it. So then I started writing blogs, and I wrote one about my growing up on Neff Road, which is the place that my roots come from. I grew up on Neff Road and wrote, and I had people all over the world sending me little notes about, you know, what was it like, or I did that, or do you remember? And then I wrote another blog that was about taking simple things and finding worth in them and finding stories in them. And then I found that I was getting I got a note from a woman who said, I don't know how to cope in my life. And so I said, well, let's talk about it. We all have those packages that we come with. We don't know why. We don't know where those packages will be used, but we all come with them. Lauren said, you know, what are you going to talk about today? And I wrote a thing out, which will be in the paper Thursday. And I said, no, that's not me. That's not how I do this. When I write, we send it off and it's done. So when I talk, I have to talk. I can't just read from a paper. The Times has given me a really great insight into this community. I've gotten feedback from people who've lived the same journey, the farm journey. I've gotten messages from younger people who say, I don't know anything that you're talking about really, but I'm interested in it. I've got people who write and they say, yeah, you know, I felt that too. This is what I was packed with. This is the words that I was packed with. When my granddaughters were small, we would sit in the car waiting for their mom after work. We're from Cooper Mountain, so we sat down in Aloha and waited for their mom. And all these people would pass by. And I thought, you know, here I am with a couple of preteens, and they're bored to death, and I don't know what I'm doing. So how do we entertain them? So I said, okay, we are going to start looking at each person that comes by and find one positive thing about that person. And if you live by Aloha or in Aloha, you know you get some pretty interesting people passing by. And so we sat there and nobody said much. And I said, well, you know, I like her hat. Well, then the girls got really into it. I like his shoes. Yeah, here we go. I like his hair. Oh, really? Okay. Okay. We'll go with that. Then somebody came by and none of us said anything. And the lady walked by and we looked. Couldn't find anything attractive, pretty. And then my one granddaughter said, I like her shoestrings. I said, all right, we're on a roll. What else do you like? You know, shoestrings are good. The words again. They're in everything. Like Ted was saying, I seem to find something in the ordinary. There isn't ordinary. Everything has a purpose and has a reason to be where it's at in your sight. Everybody has an opportunity to look at everything a little bit differently. I take my words and I throw them on the paper and I say, you know, bye, they're gone. But it's weird because automatically more words come into my head and it's like, oh, gee, help me. But I find that the words have opened doors to me that I didn't know were there before. I was sitting on the plane, I think it was when my father had died. I was taking a night flight back from Chicago to Portland. And I'm sitting there with my book and not real happy, and it's dark, and I'm glad to be next to the window and away from everything. And these two young men come in, and they're just full of energy and chit-chatting away, and they sit down next to me, and there's some problem with a girlfriend and a child, and I'm thinking, oh, I don't want to hear this, you know, la, 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 la. And finally they settled down. I'm over there trying to ignore them, which you know when you're sitting this close, it's hard to ignore people. And the one young man is stretching and trying to get comfortable, and he can't get comfortable. And I said, you know, do you want to sleep on my shoulder? And he looked at me, he says, really? In my head, I'm going, really? And so I put the armrest up, and he snuggled up on my shoulder. And I took my shawl, and I covered him up, and he slept until we got back. And then when they started to get off the plane, his buddy looked over at me, and he says, you're a nice lady. And I thought, no, I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm connecting. So the two young black men got off the plane. I never saw them again. I don't know if I impacted any lives, but they impacted mine. And it wasn't about me, it's the purpose of me. As I get older, like I said, I'm 75. As I get older, I look at it and I say, you know, what is my purpose? I'm not too old to have a purpose. I'm not too old to change the way that I live or to look at new avenues of hope. And this is what I do in the paper. I try to look at new avenues of hope, look at new ways of thinking about things. I don't know if it impacts anybody or not, but it's not mine to deal with, it's theirs. I saw that over there. You dropped your button. Life should be fun, life should be interactive. I grew up on a farm, we'll get back to the farm now, where every day we worked, every day we got up, every day I was part of a team. Every day of my life, as I grew older, I took on more responsibility. I found that I had a different place. I didn't know that I was gathering fodder. I didn't know that sitting in the lane watching a dung beetle roll manure was going to teach me about patience. I didn't know that when my cousin set me on a tractor when I was 5 years old, and he put my hands on the wheel, and he fixed the gas, and he said, look at the end of the field and do not move the wheel. I was pulling a tobacco planter behind it. He hopped on the planter. I held onto the wheel, my feet straight out, driving the tractor. In my head, I'm going, holy moly. Got to the end of it. He hopped off and turned me and went back the other way. I learned responsibility. I learned to be trusted. I learned what it was to have somebody have faith in me. We have this thing that we build up as we go through life, and too often we forget to look back and say, what did I take away from that? What did I learn from that? Who am I today? I don't know where all your backgrounds are, but again, I know that we all began with somebody scratching with a stick in the dirt. We all started someplace else, and we came here. And there's such a rich history that we all share because we really are one people, and each one of you matters to that. So anyway, if you want to catch up with me, Thursday I'll be on the opinion page. Why would I be on the opinion page? I think I should be entertainment or classified or somewhere else. But anyhow, I thank you for letting me come and talk. Ted, thank you for reading. For any of the rest of you who do, thank you. It's nice to know somebody's out there.
Quick question.
Yes.
So you write for a column in the Pamplin newspaper. How did you go about getting that?
You know, again, it's the powers that be. And my son at one time, he said, I don't know what it is with you. Because we had gone through some really tough financial times. But he said, every time you have a hard time, you know that it'll be taken care of. And it was. I'd get a weird check in the mail. Something would happen. And I found out that part of it is tuning into life. It's tuning in to the natural course of life and where you're supposed to be. I took writing classes. And I used to write poetry. Writing was never a big thing to me. I was too busy living life and trying to live. And so I took writing classes, and I'd go in and I'd say, tell me how to do this. And she'd look at my writing and she'd say, I don't teach that. I'm like, okay. Thought I'd go back to Marylhurst and finish my degree. Had 2 sessions with them, and each one, I'm sitting there, what do you want to do? I'd like to be in communications. Well, what are you doing? I'm writing plays and blah, blah, blah. Don't go back to school. Wait, everybody needs a degree. Why not go back to school? Because you're doing what you're supposed to do. I was already doing it. I didn't need somebody to tell me I could. So then I decided, I was in writing, I was from Ohio. And I decided, why not write for the paper back there? What the heck? So I did. And I wrote for 12 years back there.
Every week?
Every week. Plus I was writing 2 blogs.
What happens if you don't submit an article every week?
It doesn't get in there.
I don't
I am not paid.
So if you don't submit one, it's not like they can fire you.
No, and that brings up another thing, because my husband and I recently had this conversation, and it's about recognition. And I don't need recognition. I don't need to be paid. He was saying, don't you want to be famous someday, all this. No. Because what I have is to give away. It's not for me to keep. What I have does no good if I keep it. Because I have a place in this cycle of life, and I need to throw it out there and let it be what it's going to be, which is how I write and why I write. And again, if things pop up, and Lauren will tell you, things will happen to me and you go, wow, where did that come from? And it's just part of what's out there speaking to me and saying, yeah, you're on the right track. Yeah.
Do you ever hit times when you have trouble coming up with an idea?
I can have my column in anywhere from Thursday to Monday. Monday's pushing it. There are many times that I forget to write it. Don't tell Mark Miller. And there are times that I come up against a wall. But what do I do, honey?
You just sit and write.
I look around and I go, in fact, the article Thursday will come from a bathroom experience where I was looking at my socks. You never know where a story is going to come from. And again, that's all about observing life. It's all about looking every day at everybody. You know, my mantra, and I cherish it, is that I get to get up every day and look at everybody in the eye. I get to recognize everybody. I get to see them. I don't need to know them. I don't need to introduce myself. But I get to look into their eyes and say, you know, I see you. And having worked with high school kids, I know how important that is. For one Christmas, I did it with all 4 of my grandkids, but we made ornaments, Christmas ornaments. And I said, okay, got this big batch of Christmas ornaments. We're going to the mall and we're going to hand them out to people. And we're going to say happy holidays and walk on. We're not going to do anything else. We are giving, expecting nothing back. Of course, here's these little girls going, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this. And so we did. We took the ornaments around and handed them out. And one lady tracked us down and she said, I thought I'd be on that bench all day and nobody'd care. Another lady at McDonald's, bless her heart, beautiful, beautiful lady. She's missing a few teeth. She's a beautiful lady. And my oldest granddaughter handed her an ornament. And she started to cry and she said, nobody gets me anything. I always am trying to provide for my family. So it isn't what we give, it's what we get back from what we give. I'm a chatty Kathy, yes.
What did you learn on the farm about animals?
Oh my God, do you know what it's like to live where you have animals in your backyard? Oh my gosh, you wake up, you got moos and clucks and baas, you know, and if you're lucky, you hear a horse. Absolutely. I learned so much. I learned it from, my mother told me if I wanted to learn the facts of life, I needed to go to the field, which is kind of hinky in my life today. I mean, you know, sorry, honey, you know, learned it in the field. But, you know, it's that case of where you watch animals birth, lambs especially, and the mother will butt one away and will not accept it. So we take it in or try to find another nursing mother. I watched a ewe. I was very little, and I remember sitting in the corner of the stall, and this ewe was giving birth, and she gave birth and just turned herself inside out. So she had to be put down. My dad, what did we learn on the farm? My dad and my mom got this farm. They were a newly married couple. My dad put all the money into the milk stable. He put all the money into the barns and fixing the house and everything, and their herd. The herd got Bang's disease and had to all be shot. There are lessons to be learned on a farm that you don't get anywhere else, but you grow up learning them. You know, I learned how to hypnotize chickens. That is just awesome. It is just awesome. You take the stupid bird, you put the beak down and you draw a line and the chicken will not move. My father was thrilled to walk out and see a whole bunch of chickens looking at lines. But you know, I learned a lot on the farm. Wouldn't trade it for the world. I wish I could. And in fact, I think that's partially why I write Neff Road. I want to give that to everybody. Yeah. Anybody got any more questions?
Have you ever thought about becoming a Rotarian? You sound perfect.
We meet every Tuesday morning.
Every
Your husband's welcome too.
There you go. You know, what you do is so important. It really is very important. But what you have to realize is that each one of you is important. Each one of you brings to this what you are. Your ideas, not just the massive ideas, but your ideas and how to implement them. Your ideas about community, your cares, the future. You know, you bring all of this here and create this wonderful organization. So don't ever forget how important each and every one of you are to it, because we're only as strong as the people that serve it. Yeah. So I know none of you voted for me today. I did vote for myself. And I'm truly, truly sorry, because I could run this country, you know I could. I thank you for inviting me here today. You're wonderful.